You sit there now, and finally something has cracked open inside you. It's not pride, it's not relief, it's recognition. And oh, how bitter it is. This recognition of what was always in front of you, yet hidden in plain sight. The SuperEmpath, the one whose heart was a sanctuary, whose energy carried you where you couldn't stand, whose soul whispered the truths you refused to hear gone. And now you see. You see how they carried your shadows with gentle hands, how they mirrored your potential with unwavering patience, how they loved without demand and gave without expectation. You see that their absence isn't just silence, it's a vacuum that no apology can fill. You realize painfully that their presence was not just support, it was elevation. It was transformation. It was everything. And the divine irony is that clarity comes too late for many. You try to reach across the void, but some lessons are not meant to be reversed. Some souls walk away, so that the weight of your understanding will not merely be a thought, but a reckoning. And this is where wisdom is born, not in possession, but in recognition. You feel the sting of regret, yes, but do not let it crush you. Let it awaken you. Let it remind you that not everyone is a super empath. Not everyone will see your essence, nurture it, and walk beside you with reverence for your light. When they are gone, their absence is the loudest sermon you will ever hear. A teaching in subtle, relentless power. Love like that is sacred, rare, irreplaceable. The truth is, you were given a gift, and in your ignorance, you treated it as ordinary. Now, you understand its magnitude. And while understanding after the fact may feel like a failure, it is in fact a divine spark that has the power to transform your soul forever. Because the super empath doesn't just leave a space. They leave a mirror. They leave a standard. They leave the echo of what true empathy, true love, and true connection demand of every heart that dares to call itself awake. And now, with this painful clarity, you are confronted with your own capacity to honor what was given, to respect what is rare, and to never again mistake presence for granted. So carry this lesson. Let it burn gently, insistently, like the whisper of a higher truth. Let it remind you that some people are not meant to be possessed. They are meant to be understood. And sometimes understanding comes too late to hold them, but just in time to change you. And that, my friend, is both your loss and your awakening. They give quietly, not for recognition, not for praise, not for applause. The super empath moves through life with a kind of invisible strength, a strength that does not shout, that does not demand, but that carries a weight most cannot even imagine. Every act of care, every moment of patience, every ounce of emotional energy they pour into them, lives around them, is a kind of silent labor and offering to the world that often goes unnoticed. They understand that love is not a transaction, that compassion is not a currency to be counted, and that true connection cannot be measured by how loudly it is acknowledged, and so they give, always, without pause, without fanfare. You might not see it. You might not feel the magnitude of what they do for you while it is happening. They smooth over conflicts you didn't even realize were tearing you apart. They absorb your anger, your frustration, your pain, and they do it without resentment. They are the quiet presence that steadies the storm, the calm that whispers in the chaos. And because they give so naturally, so seamlessly, their sacrifices can go unnoticed, not because they are small, but because they are so woven into the fabric of life around them that we take them for granted. This is the paradox of the super empath. Their generosity is invisible precisely because it is so consistent. It is not a performance. It is not a strategy. It is a state of being. And yet, that very invisibility can create a dangerous illusion for those around them. The illusion that love, patience, and understanding are endless, that they require no acknowledgement, no respect, no reciprocal care. And it is in this illusion that people often fail to grasp the weight of what has been given, the depth of the unseen labor. The super empath sacrifices daily their energy, their comfort, their boundaries. They sacrifice sleep to hold space for a friend in crisis. They sacrifice convenience to offer guidance without judgment. They sacrifice pride to forgive when no apology has been offered. And they do not calculate these sacrifices. They do not tally the hours spent listening, the nights spent worrying, the moments spent carrying others' burdens. They give because they are wired to give, because to hold back would feel unnatural, almost impossible. They understand that their role in the lives of others is not transactional. It is sacred. And yet, This silent giving comes at a cost. The world is not always kind to those who pour themselves out quietly. The super empath often ends up depleted, unseen, and unacknowledged. Why? Those who benefit from their labor may remain oblivious to its depth. There is a painful irony here. The very gift that makes them extraordinary is the one that others often fail to value until it is too late. Their sacrifices, which are meant to uplift and nurture, can be taken for granted. And this is not because the world is cruel, but because the magnitude of invisible love is difficult to comprehend. To truly understand the silent sacrifice of a super empath is to understand the quiet heroism of everyday life. It is to see the extraordinary in the ordinary, the divine in the subtle, the immeasurable in what seems simple. Every act of care is a declaration of courage. Every moment of listening is a commitment of heart. Every sacrifice is a testament to the belief that love, in its purest form, does not ask for reward. And if you pause long enough, if you truly pay attention, you begin to see that the super empath, silent giving, is not just kindness, it is the heartbeat of a life lived with purpose, with intention, with a wisdom that understands the cost of presence and the power of being there when it matters most. The super empath is not just a presence, they are a mirror, but not the kind of mirror that shows you a reflection of your face or the surface of your life. They reflect your soul. They reflect the deepest parts of who you are, the parts you try to hide even from yourself. They hold up a reflection so precise, so unflinching, that it forces you to confront both your light and your shadow. And this is why their gift is so extraordinary, so transformative, and yet so often misunderstood. They do not give you comfort without truth, nor love without reflection. When you are with a super empath, every emotion you carry, every thought you push aside, every mind you pretend doesn't exist, they see it, they feel it. And without judgment, without blame, they bring it to the surface. They are the quiet observers who notice your patterns, you. Our defenses, your tendencies to shut down or to push away. And they do this not to shame you, but to illuminate you. They hold a mirror to your soul so that you can see yourself with clarity, so that you can recognize where growth is needed, where healing is overdue, and where your own light has been hidden under fear, misunderstanding. This reflection is not always comfortable. In fact, it is rarely easy to sit before a mirror held by a super empath. They reveal truths you may have avoided, the ways you hurt yourself and others, the moments when your fear disguised itself as strength. They show you the parts of yourself that crave attention, yet push people away. They show you the brilliance within you, and also the cracks that need mending. And the power of this mirror is that it never lies. It does not flatter. It does not diminish. It does not excuse. It simply reflects. And in that reflection lies the possibility of transformation. But the super empath's reflection is not only about exposing weaknesses, it's also about revealing your capacity for greatness. They see the potential you ignore, the empathy you are capable of, the courage that lies dormant under layers of doubt and hesitation. They hold your best self before you, often in moments when you can't see it for yourself. They teach by showing, not by telling. And sometimes the lesson is subtle, a look, a gesture, a quiet presence that reminds you who you are when the world makes you forget. The irony, however, is that most people only recognize the depth of this mirror after the super empath is gone. While they are present, many take for granted the clarity they provide, the way they hold space for growth, the way they reflect both challenge and support with perfect balance. Their reflections are gifts, but gifts are often invisible until their absence makes the emptiness undeniable. And when the super empath steps away, the mirror vanishes, leaving only echoes of the truths they once held up so patiently, so lovingly. To be confronted by a super empath is to be confronted by life itself. They remind you that your emotions are not burdens, but messages. They remind you that your actions ripple far beyond your awareness. They remind you that growth requires honesty, reflection, and the courage to face yourself unflinchingly. And in every reflection, in every subtle response, in every act of quiet observation, they offer you a chance to become more fully yourself, more honest, more aware, more aligned with the truth of your own soul. Being reflected by a super empath is not a passive experience. It is transformative. It is awakening. It is an invitation to live consciously, to face the fullness of who you are, and to embrace the responsibility of being seen so completely. And though it can be painful, though it can feel exposing, it is ultimately a sacred gift, the gift of knowing yourself through the eyes of someone whose perception is so deep, so compassionate, so unwavering. And it cannot help but guide you toward your highest version. There is a peculiar cruelty in the timing of understanding. Many people live beside a super empath for months, years, even decades, and never fully grasp the magnitude of their presence. The empath gives endlessly, quietly, selflessly, and their love is a constant, a steady river running through the lives of those around them. And yet, for some, it goes unnoticed. They become accustomed to the light, the patience, the unwavering care, and they mistake it for ordinary existence, rather than the extraordinary gift it truly is. This is where delayed realization takes root. It often comes not in the midst of the giving, not in the warmth of shared moments, but in the emptiness that follows absence. When the super empath steps back, when their energy is no longer available, when their understanding and support are no longer constants in your life, the truth that once seemed invisible suddenly becomes undeniable. You begin to see, with a clarity that can feel like a sudden, piercing light, just how much was given, how much was carried, how much was sacrificed for your growth and your comfort without ever asking for acknowledgement. The painful irony is that recognition arrives too late to change the past. You cannot go back to reclaim moments already taken for granted. You cannot undo the subtle ways in which you overlook patience for granted, generosity as entitlement, or empathy as something infinite. You cannot rewind. The time spent ignoring the quiet depth of someone who saw you wholly, loved you fiercely, and supported you unconditionally. And yet, that very pain is the teacher. It is the harsh, unflinching mirror that finally forces you to confront the truth of what was lost, not as an abstract concept, but as a tangible absence in your life. Delayed realization often carries with it a weight of regret so heavy that it can feel suffocating. You replay the interactions, the small gestures, the countless moments where you could have shown gratitude, understanding, or reciprocation, and you are forced to face the cost of your own blindness. And yet, within this suffering lies a profound lesson. The super empath's worth cannot be measured in convenience, in fleeting acknowledgement, or in temporary attention. Their value is constant, enduring, and irreplaceable. To grasp it only after it is gone is painful, yes, but it is also transformative. What the delayed realization teaches is this: presence, patience, and empathy are not gifts to be exploited. They are sacred energies entrusted to those who are worthy of respect, attentiveness, and reciprocity. It shows that human beings are often blind to what sustains them until they confront its absence. It reminds us that true love and understanding do not shout for attention. They work quietly, persistently, powerfully. And it is only when the quiet stops that we feel the full force of what has been lost. Delayed realization also challenges us to grow. It forces reflection, accountability, and transformation. You see yourself in ways you never did before, stripped of excuses, stripped of distraction, stripped of the illusion that love is infinite without reciprocity. You understand, finally, the cost of taking someone for granted, the depth of their patience, the intentionality behind their care. And even though they are gone, their influence lingers, shaping your heart, awakening your soul, and teaching you to recognize, value, and honor the extraordinary people in your life before it is too late. The super empath is not easily replaced, and their absence is not easily forgotten. Their delayed recognition serves as both a warning and a revelation, reminder that clarity is often not immediate, that true understanding requires presence, attention, and gratitude, and that the consequences overlooking greatness are as real as the gift itself. The lesson is difficult, but it is sacred. It is a call to awaken, to change, and to never again allow the rare and the extraordinary to pass unnoticed while it is still among us. There is a particular kind of pain that no words can fully capture, the pain of absence. It is the hollow space left behind when a super empath steps away, the silence that fills a room where once there were understanding, warmth, and unwavering presence. It is not just the absence of a person. It is the absence of a force, a guiding light, a soul that carried weight you did not even realize you were leaning on. And when that light dims, when that force withdraws, the emptiness is palpable as though a part of your very being has been removed. In their absence, you begin to notice what you never did before. The way they used to anticipate your needs without being asked. The way they listened, not just with their ears, but with their hearts. The way their energy soothed your storms, calmed your fears, and inspired your growth. And you start to realize that what you thought was ordinary was actually extraordinary. What you took for granted was actually sacred. Their presence was not simply comfort, it was sustenance for the soul, a lifeline woven into the fabric of your daily existence. The pain of absence carries with it a dual edge. It is sorrow for what is gone, yes, but it is also a revelation of what was always there. The super empath's energy, their love, their insight, it was not casual. It was deliberate, intentional, and powerful. And only when it is gone does its full weight become apparent. You begin to understand the countless subtle ways they shaped your life, held your heart, and elevated your spirit. And with that understanding comes an ache, a quiet mourning for the moments when you could have honored them, appreciated them, and met them in the fullness of what they offered. This pain is transformative because it forces awareness. It strips away the illusion that presence is infinite or that understanding is automatic. It exposes the harsh truth that some some souls, are irreplaceable. The super empath does not leave merely to punish or to teach, they leave because their gift is so rare, so profound, and so easily taken for granted that sometimes absence is the only way for it to be fully understood. And in that absence, the echo of their energy is undeniable. It lingers in every thought, every memory, every space they once occupied, reminding you what was real, what was pure, and what was lost. The absence of a super empath is a mirror of your own choices. It reflects your attentiveness, your gratitude, your willingness or unwillingness to engage with someone who sees you completely. It forces you to confront the cost of indifference, the weight of neglect, and the consequences of failing to recognize the extraordinary when it walks beside you. And while this confrontation is painful, it is also sacred. It is a call to rise, to awaken, to understand that some losses are permanent precisely to teach us the value of presence before it is too late. There is also a subtle teaching in this pain, the understanding that love, care, and empathy are not endless resources. They are finite, precious, and to be cherished. When they are withdrawn, the void left behind is not just emotional, it is spiritual. It calls on you to examine your life, your relationships, and your capacity to honor what is rare and irreplaceable. And in feeling the absence, in mourning what has been lost, you begin to awaken to the truth that the super empath's presence was never ordinary. It was a blessing, a gift, a force of nature that shaped you in ways you could not fully grasp until it was gone. The pain of absence is heavy, yet it is a teacher. It shows the irreplaceable value of certain people, the sacredness of deep emotional connection, and the cost of taking presence for granted. It is the reminder that some souls are not simply companions, they are guides, mirrors, healers, and catalysts for transformation. And when they leave, the silence that remains is not empty, it is filled with lessons, truths, and a calling to never again overlook what is profound while it still walks beside you. The connection a super empath forms is not surface level. It is not casual, it is not fleeting, and it is not bound by convenience or circumstance. It is profound, intricate, and enduring. To be in the orbit of a super empath is to encounter a depth of understanding few will ever experience. They do not engage merely with words or gestures. They engage with the essence of who you are, with the pulse of your emotions, the rhythm of your fears, and the hidden places of your heart. They see beyond the mask you present to the world and touch the parts of you even you have yet to acknowledge. This depth is not accidental, it is intentional. Super empaths have an innate ability to sense the subtleties of human energy, to recognize pain behind smiles, strength behind tears, and potential behind hesitation. They navigate the invisible layers of your being, connecting not just to the surface emotions, but to the very currents that shape your choices, your relationships, and your life. And in doing so, they create a bond that is transformative. It is not simply love or friendship, it is a conduit for growth, healing, and awakening. Being connected to a super empath is to be known in ways that are both exhilarating and terrifying. They see your light, and they hold it up for you to recognize. They see your shadows, and they do not recoil. They invite you to face them with courage. They see the patterns that limit you, the fears that hold you back, and the untapped potential that waits beneath the surface. And they do this not to control, not to manipulate, but to guide. The depth of their connection is a sacred space where you can be wholly yourself without judgment, a space where transformation is not just possible, it is inevitable. This connection also carries responsibility. When someone reaches the depth of your soul as a super empath does, you cannot remain the same. You are challenged, stretched, and awakened to the truth of who you are and who you are capable of becoming. They push without force, guide without coercion, and love without expectation. In their presence, your growth is nurtured in ways that are subtle, yet profound, often without you realizing it until you look back and see the transformation already begun. Yet the depth of connection is also what makes their absence so keenly felt, because they touch the core of your being. Leaving a super empath creates a void that is impossible to fill. Others may offer kindness, comfort, or companionship, but few can replicate the intensity of understanding, the precision of perception, and the unwavering support they provide. The bond is not measured by time spent together or superficial interactions. It is measured by the level of awareness, vulnerability, and honesty they elicit from you. And when that is gone, you feel the gravity of what was never truly replaceable. The depth of their connection also teaches you a higher standard for human relationships. It is a lesson in authenticity, in attentiveness, and in emotional integrity. It shows you that true connection is not transactional, not conditional, and not shallow. It is a meeting of souls that goes beyond words, actions, or convenience. It is a sacred recognition of the humanity in another person, a resonance that echoes long after the empath has moved on. To be known so deeply is to be awakened to life itself. It is to experience the kind of bond that does not fade with time, that cannot be replicated. And that transforms the way you see yourself and others. The depth of connection offered by a super empath is a reminder that love, empathy, and understanding are not just feelings, they are forces capable of reshaping hearts, elevating spirits, and opening the doors to truths we might never encounter on our own. And in recognizing this depth, even after it has been lost, you are forced to confront a sacred truth. Some connections are not casual, some presences are not replaceable, and some souls leave marks that last a lifetime, shaping you long after they have gone. The super empath does not merely exist in your life to be appreciated, they exist to teach. And the lesson they offer is not always comfortable, not always immediate, and not always easy to recognize. It is a lesson wrapped in subtlety, delivered through presence, patience, and unwavering empathy. The divine lesson of the super empath is that love, understanding, and connection are sacred forces, not commodities to be used, overlooked, or taken for granted. They demonstrate in ways both profound and quiet that every interaction, every choice, and every act of care carries weight far beyond what we often realize. When someone finally grasps the magnitude of a super empath, it often comes through reflection, absence, or the undeniable clarity of hindsight. Only then do they understand the intentionality behind every gesture, every act of forgiveness, every unspoken sacrifice. It is in this recognition, often tinged with regret, that the divine lesson becomes clear. The extraordinary cannot be replicated, the rare cannot be replaced, and the love that elevates is not infinite unless it is respected and nurtured. This lesson is not just about recognizing the value of. The super empath is about understanding the sacred principles of human connection itself. It teaches humility because it forces the realization that one's own awareness, attentiveness, and emotional intelligence were insufficient to fully honor what was present. It teaches accountability because it reveals the consequences of neglect, indifference, or taking generosity for granted. And it teaches reverence because it demonstrates that some souls are so rare, so attuned, and so vital to growth that they're present. Your life is a blessing, not an entitlement. The divine lesson is also transformative in its spiritual dimension. The super empath's presence is a reflection of divine energy, the capacity to love unconditionally, to give without expectation, to see deeply and act with integrity. To fail to recognize this in the moment is human, but to realize it later is a call to awakening. It challenges you to grow, to refine your own heart, and to understand that life is not simply about receiving, but about honoring, reciprocating, and elevating the energy you are given. Their departure, therefore, is not a punishment, it is an invitation. An invitation to step into a higher level of consciousness, to recognize the sacred patterns of love, and to align yourself with a standard of empathy and integrity that cannot be ignored. The lesson they offer is often painful because it requires honesty. It demands that you confront the ways in which you fail to appreciate the moment you overlooked and the opportunities to nurture and grow that you allowed to pass. But it is precisely through jihad's this confrontation that transformation occurs. Pain becomes the teacher, absence becomes the guide, and delayed understanding becomes the catalyst for profound growth. And when you carry this lesson forward, it is not merely about honoring the super empath who was once in your life. It is about embodying the principles they demonstrate, allowing your own heart to reflect that same depth, intentionality, and sacredness in every interaction you have from that moment onward. The divine lesson of the super empath is ultimately about awakening to the truth of human connection. It is about recognizing that the rare, the extraordinary, and the deeply empathetic are not endless resources to be consumed. They are sacred presences to be treasured, understood, and mirrored. It is about understanding that love without attention is incomplete, that understanding without action is hollow, and that presence without appreciation is wasted potential. And it is about knowing at the core of your being that when someone leaves, the lesson they bring lingers longer than their physical presence, guiding you toward growth, wisdom, and a more conscious way of being in the world. Some energies in life are rare. Some presences are not merely influential, they are irreplaceable. The super empath carries this kind of energy. It is not flashy, it is not loud, and it is not measured by the attention it commands. Yet its impact is undeniable, subtle but seismic, like the gravity that holds worlds in place without ever announcing itself. To be in the presence of a super empath is to experience a force that elevates everything it touches, a current of understanding and care that seeps into the soul, reshaping it, nurturing it, and revealing dimensions of yourself you did not know existed. This energy is irreplaceable, not because it is rare by chance, but because it is cultivated in the depths of their being. It is a combination of acute perception, profound compassion, and unwavering intention. They do not give what is shallow or fleeting, they give what is enduring, what is transformative, what is infused with the full weight of their understanding and love. And when you receive this energy, it is not simply a gesture or a favor. It is a gift that resonates through every aspect of your life. It touches your fears and insecurities, your joys and potentials, and even the corners of your heart that you have long ignored. To realize the irreplaceable nature of a super empath's energy is to recognize the subtle ways it shapes your life without fanfare. They notice what others overlook. They respond where others hesitate. They understand without explanation, heal without proclamation, inspire without demand. Their energy is magnetic yet gentle, grounding yet uplifting, present yet transformative. And because it is so authentic, so profound, it cannot be mimicked, copied, or replaced. No amount of attention, no charm, no substitute can recreate the depth of understanding they bring to the spaces they inhabit. The tragedy for many is that this realization often comes too late. Only after the super empath has stepped away does the magnitude of their presence become fully apparent. You begin to notice the moments when their energy held you steady during storms, the times they absorbed your confusion without judgment, the countless ways they gave you clarity, perspective, and growth. And in their absence, the void they leave is palpable, unfillable, and stark. Other energies may try to fill it, but the subtle layers, the intentionality, and the depth of a super empath cannot be replaced. They are unique, singular, and irreplaceable, a force that once gone leaves the world subtly, profoundly altered. Understanding the irreplaceable nature of their energy is also a lesson in awareness. It teaches you that the people who elevate you, who see you deeply, who bring you closer to your potential, are rare beyond measure. It reminds you that not every presence can be taken for granted and that some connections demand not just attention but reverence. And while their absence may leave you with regret, it also leaves you with insight, the understanding that some forces in life are sacred, meant to be cherished, respected, and mirrored in your own being when they are gone. The irreplaceable energy of a super empath is, at its core, a reflection of the divine potential within every human connection. It teaches that true influence is not loud or forceful, but persistent, subtle, and transformative. It shows that love, understanding, and empathy are not infinite resources, and that some presences in life are rare, sacred, and life-changing. And when you finally understand this, you are confronted with the responsibility to honor it not just in memory, but in how you engage with others moving forward. To be touched by this energy is a privilege. To lose it is a profound lesson. And to understand it fully is an awakening that can show. Pay your heart, your relationships, and your life forever. It is a reminder that some people are not replaceable, some connections are not casual, and some presents are forces of transformation that leave an imprint on your soul long after they have departed. Thank you for your time and trust, wishing you clarity, growth, and endless strength on your journey. Goodbye for now. May your heart always recognize the rare and sacred in life,